we really are heading towards that Blade Runner future where ultimately there's one company that runs everything.
Do you think now Google's monopoly on search and ad tech domination is it up for question now because of the changing effects of AI and people moving from search and obviously they've got the innovators to lever. They've got a great AI product themselves, but they're going to have to flick the switch off search to focus on that. And do you see it changing in the guard? So there's a lot there to unpack.
Yeah, no, look, I think that the general rule of thumb here is that AI is probably the most fundamental shift in media, if you want, since the dawn of the internet in the late 90s. So, this is a 30-year change. And so that's pretty exciting. And it's also going to set the scene probably for the next 20 or 30 years ahead. So you've got to be a part of it, no question. What we have got, though, is that the last 20 years, certainly of the internet, has created incredible monopoly power concentrated in very, very few companies, right? And so we're almost living in Blade Runner now. We've got a handful of massive companies that run absolutely everything. They're bigger than countries, more powerful than politicians. They don't seem to have any laws applied to them. And so, the past 2.5 years has seen Google in court 3 times and convicted 3 times of being an illegal monopolist. Most people wouldn't have said that was going to happen. Most people didn't cover that happening. I covered it every day. I just think you have to have a hold or understanding of what that is, what's actually happening and why it's happening, and what's the data that sits behind it. Or otherwise, how can you be successful in your own business? You have to understand that stuff. So I kind of viewed it as my responsibility to translate that into things people can understand and tell the real story. But you asked me what this means going forward, and does Google and the other companies still hold a monopoly in the future? I think we've got a very interesting series of things happening right now. So just in the last couple of days, Apple and Google have done a deal to put Gemini AI in every iPhone. That gives them 99.7% of all the world's smartphone will now have Google in its guts. That's another monopoly. Here we go again. So the tech companies have got their monopolies. They're under attack, but now they're partnering with each other. So fascinating time, but will it last? I'm not sure it will. I think the world's governments are getting pretty fed up. I think that consumers are starting to see that this isn't great. I think that when people turn up and say, I'm a billionaire, that's not a badge of honor anymore. That's something to be disliked for. I think that the world and society is changing, and when people get angry, politicians get angry, and when politicians get angry, they change laws.